My name is Isaiah Pickens, and I am a clinical psychologist who works with teens in high schools and families in hospital settings. The biggest influence on me has been both my faith and my parents. Those, I think, have been the bedrock of what's helped me deal with a lot of challenges I've faced in my life. Having some kind of support system in place is really the key to, as a psychologist, mental health. And for me, that's where I find my strength. Especially at the high school that I work at, which is South Brunswick High School, one of the things that has always struck me is the level of diversity in a lot of different areas, both ethnically, in terms of where the backgrounds people come from, the type of neighborhoods they live in. And, I think that diversity is something that both is an asset because it gives you a lot of different perspectives, but it's also something that challenges people to be able to think about the world in a different way, even ways that they aren't comfortable in. My experience in Jersey is that they're willing to have that conversation. It's funny, one of the first things a lot of, especially mothers of color, Black and Latino mothers say, "Do you see boys? My boy needs to see a good Black man." And unfortunately, I don't have a private practice, and I do see a range, white, Black, Latino, kids as a whole, but I do tend to have more boy clients because they do need that connection. For one, there's very few males in the field of psychology, and so it's something that having experience with a lot of boys who are dealing with going through puberty and eventually becoming men, what it means to be a man. And so, I really think that as a whole, our culture is becoming more open to masculinity that involves an emotional aspect, a vulnerable aspect of the man. But at the same time, I think that there is still resistance to those same things as well. And so, and especially when we bring in the topic of sexuality. And so, I really feel that it's important for men to be able to show the full range of who they are. And I think it's that constriction, that limited ability to be able to show who you are that leads to a lot of frustration, that leads to a lot of aggression. You're sad, but you're showing your sadness by punching someone, beating someone up, because that's socially acceptable. And so when you are able to really increase that range of who you are, who you can be, then it really permits you to show who you are in a lot of different ways. And I think that helps a lot of young boys as they grow. Not only being a man, but being a man of color adds another dimension. And one of the things that I've found just in personal experience is if you are a part of a group that has been disenfranchised in some way, then you look for power where you can find it. And sometimes that power comes from being aggressive, being the one who can be physically dominant because you feel like you don't have other resources. And so particularly when you're talking about Black and Latino men who have had experiences, or even if it's not personal experiences, the legacy of oppression from, parents and grandparents who've experienced it and have had less resources to pass on to their kids. And so their perception of the world is that, I have to get out, I have to fight to get what I want. And that can automatically create a dynamic where it is very hostile in terms of the world that they see and the way that they approach that world, which kind of reinforces the beliefs that they already have. They're approaching people in a hostile way, and then people respond in kind. And so they say, of course the world is hostile, so I have to act like this. And so I think to really break that, personally, as a Black man, I try to really be able to connect with them on a psychological basis, but also on a very human basis. I mentor, I do other things in the community, and I definitely encourage all people, not just men, people of color, to be able to give back to whatever community they belong to in any kind of way, because there's so many kids out here who need that because they're not receiving that right now.